Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Money with Alpha, when I am joined by the lovely Janice Minihan. Hello, Janice.
Hello, Alpha. Nice to
I've
be
been,
here.
yes, I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and I've never quite managed to get myself organized enough to sort out a time, but we've sorted out a time, and yeah, I'm really
Stars
looking forward.
aligned.
Yeah, that's it. Stars align. I'm looking forward to this discussion because when I think about you, I think about everything to do with real estate. You are extremely passionate about property, to the point where you have a property business in the UK as well as in Australia. And you've kind of worked in multiple different areas, from buyer's agency to investing yourself, Airbnbs, property management. Like you kind of anything pretty much you could do in property, I think you have done, or and are continuing to do. So, do you want to maybe just give it a little bit of your own story about what you're doing, and then we can expand from there.
Yeah, sure. I started my property journey, I think, for real in 2007, and I watched my dad doing flips around like Mackay, Rockhampton. He lived out at Dysart in the mines, and just watched what he was doing. I was a teacher, primary school teacher, and like teachers and nurses, pretty poorly paid. Um, and then watched him flip a house in Rocky by adding a bedroom on and making my whole teaching wage by the time he bought and sold that in less than 3 months. So that was my sort of light bulb moment going, there's more to life, I think, than slogging my guts out. As much as I love teaching children, I've never really liked the system. So I developed property and learned alongside him and read books and went to courses, all that kind of stuff for a few years. And that was my hobby.
Yeah.
And then moving to the UK in 2014 permanently with my young family, I didn't want to teach. I thought I couldn't teach, but they had changed all their rules.
Mm.
And I was drawn back into teaching because it was really easy for work.
Yeah.
And my husband's profession is very difficult to find a good job over there. So anyway, but the system over there is more terrible than it is here, and I really, really disliked it. So in the meantime, I left that in 2017, but in 2015, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Hmm.
and so that changed my life. I then went to a Robert Kiyosaki workshop, made my husband turn up, and I put it on my birthday so he couldn't say no. And then he's like, you're going to go and do the course. Like, no, no, it's all right. I'll just think about it or whatever. He's like, don't be ridiculous. You never think about anything that long. Just pay the money, off you go. So that I went on my 2 year property education journey in the UK and became versed in all the different property strategies. And one thing after another, I found myself building portfolios for investor friends through who were doing the same courses but didn't live in my town, and my town had really excellent opportunities. And it was one of the top 10 socially deprived towns in England. So I could see how we could make real positive change by taking those terrible houses and refurbing them and putting them back out on the open market. And it sort of all stemmed from there.
Wow. And you continue to do that in the UK?
Since I've moved back to Australia, I've scaled down the sourcing and refurbing side,
Yeah.
but I do the property management. So I still manage a lot of those original clients who I built their portfolios for. We still
Yeah.
manage their properties.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because property management, it's an interesting one. My dad bought and rented out sort of multiple properties over his life, and yeah, the property management side, I think, was always the weak link, to be honest, in the whole
And it
chain.
still is.
Yeah.
It does blow my mind because I was never entering into property management. I always had property managers for our houses,
Yeah.
but I found them really poor generally. It's very
Yeah.
hard to find a good property manager here or over there. And over there, they charge anywhere from 13 to 16% management, and they
Okay.
don't even check your house. Like
Right.
they're woeful. So
Yeah.
I thought, and I had done my license here for
Yeah.
fun. I'd never
Um,
envisaged working in it. So I was more qualified than any of them because there's no formal license or anything over there. You can just call yourself whatever and do it
oh, wow.
badly, but do it. So,
Okay.
so it made sense to. My friends were like, "Can you manage our houses?" I'm like, "No, I don't do property management." And then in the end, they were like, "Who are you going to use?" And I'm like, actually, no one. I'm going to do it myself. And they're like,
Yeah.
right, well, we're coming with you. So here
Yeah.
we are, nearly 10
Yeah.
years on.
Yeah. It's,
So
oh
yeah. And
my
it's the
goodness.
same
Yes.
here, to be fair.
What's that?
So it's the same here in terms of property management. The
Mm,
stories I've, even in the last 2 weeks that owners are telling me, oh, like, this
yeah.
stuff still goes on.
Yeah.
It's
And that
really
is
hard.
licensed requirements here
And it
too.
is
So
licensed.
it's,
But
yeah.
unfortunately, it's usually young females as a starting point. And I think you need a bit of life skills to negotiate and manage people and find the win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember I
mm.
was in a rental, like me renting a property for about almost 8 years. And I think we had two inspections. They were just very
Oh,
lucky
like
that,
gravy.
yeah, I was lucky that we were good tenants because I had a
Good tenants,
flatmate at the
exactly.
beginning. And
Yep,
then
that's right.
And then when we'd sold a house and we're renting for a bit because I was having a baby, so I was like, well, look, it's hard to do all of that all at once.
Mm.
And they did come and do inspections, but oh my goodness, it was like one time the guy just poked his head in. And admittedly, we had a bit of a relationship, so I could understand. And I realized he probably didn't do that with everybody. But then
Yeah.
when he left and this young girl sort of took over, my goodness, yeah, all sorts of, and it was just, yeah, she took photos of everything and then left. I was like, but you
And
didn't really actually like check
best
anything. You just
anything
like
or
came in there and like quickly photographed everything, which
yeah,
was mostly my furniture.
yeah.
And I don't know what else that's
Nothing
going to tell
else.
you. Yeah.
Well, that was like us in the UK. So, and this is why I do what I do because I have rented, been an investor, a buyer, seller, all that stuff. So when we were renting in the UK, and like my husband cleaned that house down until he could eat off the floor for
Yeah.
our first inspection, and she came in with a piece of bamboo, tested the alarm in the hallway. Hi, Janice. Goodbye. That was
Ah,
it. And he's
okay.
just standing there going, I've spent like days cleaning this
Clean.
property for
Yeah.
her to come and have a look. And so
And barely
um,
touch the surface.
just
Yeah.
walked in, press the button, and walk out. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not an inspection. So we're
No.
very thorough and make my team be thorough because that's where their eyes and ears. And all of my owners in the UK don't live in our town. So
Yeah.
they never see their houses.
No, that's
I
right.
think it's really important.
Yeah. And so I mean, you saw your dad doing things growing up, so you had sort of a bit of a front seat, sort of there. How did like the money side kind of come into it? Because it was taking house. I mean, there's risk involved in terms of, you're putting capital on the line and
Mm.
getting loans, and how did you see money then play out in your household growing up?
So I come from, I think, a very, it was tough growing up. We grew up in, I always say the back blocks of North Queensland, but a small North Queensland town.
Yeah.
And money wasn't readily available.
Yeah.
My mum was a single mum. There's three of us.
Yeah.
And then of it, and my dad had remarried and all that kind of stuff. So watching him do something different apart
Yeah.
from just work the 9 to 5
Yeah.
really just opened my eyes. But just from a money side, my husband's very cautious but very good with money,
Hmm.
whereas I've never had any kind of exposure to anything excess. So
Yeah.
he already had a property, and he had equity in that property,
Yeah.
and I was saving through teaching. I read some book and it said invest in this managed fund or whatever. So I had been doing that for a few years. So he's like, "Do you want to go and risk your capital? I think I had a total of $7,000 or whatever on a course or do whatever
Yeah.
and go for it." So that sort of started it. And
Mm.
then I started talking to like brokers or people investing and how they did it. And then when I went and did that full on training in the UK, it was all about angel investing and like
Okay.
eventually you can use equity, but eventually you're going to run out of money. So you need to widen your network. You can and do all these other different strategies. So
Right.
initially it was using equity that we had in houses here, buy
Yeah.
one, you know, give it 6 or 12 months, use the equity in that to buy the next one.
Yeah.
Um, but then after 3 in Southeast Queensland, I felt like we had the noose around our neck because we were maxed out.
Yeah.
Um, Everything was negatively geared,
Mm.
and I found that really tough. And then when I went to the UK, and everything was positively geared, or you couldn't
Mm,
even get a mortgage, it was a whole new way of thinking. So now I apply that here
yeah.
and try at least to get it to wash its face and be neutrally geared,
Yeah.
which is tricky in this, especially in this market.
Yeah, I was going
But
to say, is that even still possible?
I get it very close,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
better than the big swings that it was when I started.
Yeah.
And then you don't know what you don't know, do you? So
No.
I
And that's
learned a
and
lot.
and that's the thing. I think we get so scared about what could or couldn't happen that we prevent ourselves from doing anything. Make the problem bigger than we think than it actually is. And so that stops us from taking action. But then once we get into it, we learn so much in the process. And even if it doesn't work out exactly the way we wanted, we also can figure it out.
Yes.
Or we can find people to help us figure it out. So I think
And
that's, that's just like the cost of inaction then becomes
absolutely.
that's actually the bigger problem than it is to do something and fail, or potentially. And it often isn't, because there's always things that kind of come in
Yeah.
unexpectedly to help.
And like property in Southeast Queensland, unless you buy like in the middle of a lane or something, you really, you'd have to really get it wrong, I reckon, to lose money because the
Yeah.
market's so buoyant.
Yeah.
Um,
And especially in the long
there's
term. I
different
mean,
things you can do.
yeah, I look at my dad and his property journey. Property wasn't increasing at the same pace then as it is now. Like he would sell a property and maybe sort of it would sell for maybe 50 to $100,000 more after like 5 or 6 years. Whereas now you can, at the moment, things are pretty much doubling. I don't think it's going to stay that pace, because I don't like cost of, yeah, acquisition wise, I just really can't, especially with wages and all of that.
Mm.
But because property is so one of the strategies we've talked about there is very much short-term property, like buy, improve, sell. Um, how do you see property more as a longer term investment or short, like what's your kind of like time horizon for people?
It depends on their appetite. So, like, I've got a client at the moment who wants to do flips.
Yeah.
But everything's so transparent out in the market. It's like, whereas my cousin, who's now a big developer, when he started doing flips, say 10 years ago, he was like, there's no money in this. Everyone can see how much you bought it for. You've given it a lick of paint and you want to sell it for 100 grand more.
Yeah.
Whereas now and now I've done all this training, it's like, well, now you've just got to be smarter. You buy the property at the right price, work out what the market needs. Because I do a lot of housing people in rentals,
Yeah.
they're coming, especially from New Zealand, coming with big families.
Yeah.
There are no big houses or like this multi-generational type family unit because people can't afford to live in their own house type of thing anymore. So they'll take the grandparents or whatever with them. Find a block with a granny flat option.
Yeah.
So I think it's about being more smarter and giving the market what it needs,
Yeah.
because
Well,
that's where you'll make the uplift.
yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I had a friend recently who has a big house and a granny flat on the house. Like the house itself's got 5 bedrooms, plus there's a 1 bedroom granny flat, and it's been really hard to rent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So I was like,
She
but
might
there
need to
are.
talk to me, Alpha.
Yes, I know. Because I didn't realize until I heard you speak recently that you were doing property management. I was like, huh, right. I
Hmm.
should. I think. Yeah, I don't know what the situation is in terms of how both properties are being rented right now, or if it's all in one. But at the time, I was like, wow, I would have thought
Your hand
that
off.
would be in demand, because it's unusual as well. Because if I see a lot of families where they've got like 5 kids. Or
Absolutely.
they've got the
Absolutely.
grandparents living with them because aged care is too expensive, or they've run low on cash, so they can't stay where they are, so they need a place for the grandparents, but they don't want them like in their space.
Oh
So,
man,
yeah.
there's a place like that should not be vacant in Southeast Queensland.
No. So we might have to have more of a chat afterwards. But yeah.
Yeah, because I've got, this is the way I see the market going.
Yeah.
Need to create some extra living space or rooms or something, because
Yeah.
there is not enough houses being built for the amount of people coming to Southeast Queensland.
Yeah.
And the red tape for everyone,
Mm,
especially developers, is astronomical. So,
yeah. Yeah, I see a
um,
lot of articles about granny flats. Adding a granny flat. To be honest, I've even looked at putting a tiny home at the front of our property,
okay.
partly like to consider. maybe future optionality with my mum. But yeah, but then I was like, well, then there's a granny flat there.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's,
But you're
yeah,
actually increasing the value because you're creating more space. And like places like Ipswich City Council and Moreton Bay Regional Council, they've
mm,
relaxed all their rules around that. So you
yeah.
don't need approval anymore. Like
Oh,
Ipswich just goes on land size. If you have over 800 square meters, you can put a two-bedroom granny flat on.
okay. Well,
And a
we're pretty
two-bedroom
much
granny
on
flat's
800.
decent size.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're pretty much on 800. But I'm in Brisbane City Council, so I
Your
don't
Brisbane
know.
City Council. I think there's just a little couple of extra hoops to jump with them,
Yeah.
but it's so much easier now than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah. So it's and that's the thing, understanding what is the appropriate level of improvement to make. Because I see some properties, I was like, I feel like they've overcapitalized on those and they've made too many improvements. And then, it's so what I guess,
Ceiling.
sorry.
Where's the ceiling?
Yes, yeah, that's it. Is there, I guess, a guardrail or guidelines for, if it's an older house, don't do too much to it because it's more land value than anything, or is it,
Depends on the purpose. If it's owner occupier and it's your house, your home,
yeah,
then I think that's completely different to an investment
yeah,
and the amount of refurb you would do. Because ultimately, if it's still going to be a three-bedroom, one bathroom at the end, but you've added whether it be 10 grand or 100 grand, chances are the rent's not going to equate to spending the 100 grand.
no. No.
So
And
you
this is where
really,
it's good to talk to someone like yourself before you do something to go,
yeah,
okay, well, what's happening in the market right now? What are people looking for? What will get you the extra $10 a week rent if it's rental?
yeah,
And just actually like test it out. Because yeah, I look at our ensuite bathroom. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It had been given a facelift before we bought the house, but it was I think a bit of a cheaper facelift. So I'd be like, oh, but I don't know if it's really worth kind of gutting it and starting
oh,
again.
because bathrooms over here are really expensive. Like in the UK, we would do whole new bathrooms for £3,000, plumbing and
Mm,
everything,
yeah,
finished. Here, my brother did his bathroom, a bathroom and a kitchen or something. It's like 50 or 60 grand. I'm like,
it's a lot. Yeah,
God, crazy. So,
yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah,
I did. My dad had a rental property, and the kitchen was pretty much non-existent. Like I don't know how. Anyway, it was what it was. But I was like, so I went down the IKEA path, and it was
yeah,
still, I think it was still about $5,000 for the kitchen itself, and it was a
yeah.
smallish kitchen, was in a unit, and then another $1,500 to get it installed,
And
which
it's
was
still,
still pretty good. So I was like, okay, that's all right.
that's okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
For
It's
a new
functional.
kitchen, that's fine. And then I'm looking going, oh, I'd love this stuff in our kitchen.
Yeah, that's right.
But our kitchen's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's really more the ensuite bathroom that I'm like, I'd
And
really love to.
that's what people look at, isn't it? Like your kitchens and your bathrooms.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
my dad ran it when we sold our house before moving to England. He he was staying with us and he's like, I'll redo your kitchen. He goes, there's nothing wrong with your carcass. We're just going to put new bench tops on, new door
Yeah.
handles. Did he do
Yeah.
door faces as well? I'll tell you what, it was a whole new kitchen and it was a fraction of the price. So it's just having someone with a bit of know-how, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. Well, I look at our kitchen and what they did was they actually just put a new bench top on top of the old one. Because when I look underneath, I was like, I can still see the old dark
Yeah.
blue bench top, and there's
Oh
this
no.
new lighter one, and so that's pretty much the reno I think they did. And they in the bathroom they just painted the tiles,
Oh
so of
yeah.
course it's not grouting anymore. It's silicon, which is harder to keep clean. And I was just going, oh, I wish people would just do the job properly. They're going
Well,
to
don't
do
do it at all. Let
yeah,
somebody
do the
come in
reno
and do their
properly, or
thing.
yeah. So
Yeah.
now we're yeah. Anyway, so that's on my list of something to
That'll
do
keep
at some
you,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, keep you busy.
Um, yes. But then, so then when you're looking for, in Australia in particular at the moment, how have you kind of seen, like, probably, because obviously we've just had the federal budget come down, which is going to impact things
Yeah.
if it actually does get passed. I'm not even sure what the timing is for getting it passed, but um, if their
To
plans,
kick in July 2027, isn't it? If and when it gets passed.
except for the negative gearing was supposed to be immediate.
All
So
right.
yeah, removing the deduction for negative gearing, which to a certain extent, we're kind of going, we're pushing the benefit to the end. So while people aren't getting the benefit of the deduction of the expenses are above and beyond what the income is for the property, rather than being
Mhm.
able to deduct that difference against your earned income, you just add that to the cost base for the future. So to a certain
Mm.
extent, they're just pushing the benefit into the future. But all of the other things like this, the capital gains tax discount disappearing and all the other bits and pieces that are changing, have you seen that impact what people are doing in terms of rental properties and investing?
Yeah, well, I think in the last couple of weeks, the sentiment has just felt like it's just shifting back towards the buyer a little bit
Okay.
more. Like
Yeah.
there's not, like, I think it depends on where you're at pockets wise, but there's
Yeah.
not like, I don't know, 3 dozen people at open homes that I've seen
Mm.
lately. Like the rental market is less than 1%. So um, I think unless something changes drastically, that demand isn't going to lift. But the investor side of it, well, it's all going to move to new builds now, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
that's where they can get their discount. So, which pushes up the price of that stock,
Yeah.
and developers, ultimately will make more money out of that.
Yeah. And then the like the you know family product property developer, for instance, where they're going to be looking for larger blocks that they can subdivide and put two houses on. That's now going to be even more valuable than it was previously.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
So,
So I think, the existing stock
mm,
will potentially soften because really it's just your owner occupier type
yeah,
person looking for
yeah,
that. And whereas once upon a time it was the reverse, wasn't it? Like the new builds, your house and land packages are for your first time buyers, and
yeah,
they create those communities as
yeah,
things get pushed out and all that kind of stuff. So it's
yeah,
really interesting. Yeah, and I had a client pull out of a deal once those announcements were made the other day because when people are scared and confused, they just don't make a decision.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
so
And that
it's
even
just
goes like even beyond the property space, like just money in general. I think there's, again, we're talking about that sort of, the cost of inaction, even
mm,
just looking at getting finances sorted and what that actually entails. I mean, you've done a lot of study in relation to property specifically, but in terms of like just regular money management, like managing what's coming in, what's going out, and then what to do with it, how have you kind of, I guess, learned about that side of it?
I continue to learn from people like you because that's not my background, and you don't know what you don't know. So I'm always doing some like either coaching or courses or
Yeah.
reading something or learning from others and network.
Yeah.
Because even though I network for my business, I learn so much from other people and
Yeah.
hearing what other people are doing and just mixing with the right people and, professionals to
Yeah.
and paying for their knowledge because there's only 24 hours in a day. And so
Yeah.
that for me, and like doing that training in the UK, knowing how to do numbers on properties,
Yeah.
whether it's a deal or not a deal, what kind of profit margin versus, oh, should be all right. Like that's the Aussie way, isn't it? Give it a crack. It'll be all right.
Mm.
And then sometimes it's not all right because your refurb's gone from 20 grand to 50 grand. Like, how do you mitigate those kind of things?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I learn all the time because I know, and I'm not an accountant, and I really need that side right. So engaging the right people along the way
Yeah.
and
And because
having the
there are,
courage to change if they're not
yes. Yeah. Because
the
there's
part, which
moving
I find
parts.
hard.
Yeah.
Mm,
And I think
yeah.
communication's important too, because again, like, we were sort of talking last week, when you're not getting responses from your professionals, then you're
Yes.
like, okay, that's a problem in and of itself. You're like, no, find a good accountant, especially when if you're starting to get more down the investing path, it's
Mm,
important to start to sort of see what the possibilities are from a tax perspective and structuring and all of that. And
absolutely. And
obviously
that's
the
what
other,
I think I was structured wrong in the UK.
yeah,
And like they always said to us, like, get your accountant and your bookkeeper in place from the start. It's like, but I've got no properties yet. There's no point me doing that.
mm,
But now I think, and I look back going, that was so right. I should have done that because I've lived in a world of pain. Because once I started once you get started and you steamroll it, and I had all these great
mm,
deals, and I did a big flip and commercial flip, and then I've been paying tax here ever since, paying for that success, I guess. So, like, you know
yeah,
what? Listen to what they say. That's why they're saying it. They're the professionals, and I'm not in that
yeah,
aspect. So,
yeah. And the structuring part's important. And the thing is, the rules do change. So, like for instance, again, something else that's just come up with the budget is how trusts are
Yeah,
taxed. And
exactly.
a lot of properties will be sitting inside trusts, especially if it's like family trust or discretionary trusts. However, it's been set up partly for asset protection. And that's the
Yes.
thing too. Like it's not just a tax avoidance scheme. Like I think some of the point in that was missed. There's situations where not everybody's families are as, what's the word, nice. So
Mm,
for some people, they actually have to put their assets inside a trust to try and protect it so that the people who are meant to actually get the benefit of that sort of
do.
investment and that money actually get it.
Yeah.
So just like arbitrarily taxing it in the way they're proposing to is not necessarily a good thing. The one thing that will hopefully remain the same, but will impact perhaps how people are structuring it going forward is maybe doing properties inside self-managed super funds. Um, have you
Mm.
seen anything like that? How that, do you have clients who want to
Starting
do
to
it that
get
way? And has there been
starting
more
to get more
demand?
inquiries as
Yeah.
into that, I think, and I think that will be um, a growth area as more information comes to light about these changes. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think the self-managed super funds are the way to go. They've got their own tons of rules and all that as well, don't you? So
Yeah.
you need a proper, personalized accountant who knows all of that ins and outs. So
Yes. Yeah, once
yeah,
you specialize, because not every account specializes in the self-managed super fund.
no,
And there's also extra costs and compliance and responsibilities that go with it. But
yes,
provided you have all the
100%.
right support and structure around you, it could be an option. It does limit, though, your ability to buy because you can't use equity when you're property inside a self-managed super fund. But
But you can loan. You can get a
you
loan
can get a
in
loan,
yourself.
yes.
So, and I think that's what more people are cottoning onto and
Yeah.
leveraging what they've already got in cash
Yeah.
to be able to get their loan to build their portfolio that way,
Yeah.
which I think is smart.
It is, yeah. So
Mm.
what are your plans? And maybe just give us a bit of an idea more of how you actually work with your clients. Like how do people work with you? And what is there going to be an evolution or are you going to continue to do it the way you're doing it?
So I love building portfolios for people. I think that's my niche. But providing more than that one service, because buyers agents now pretty much are a dime a dozen, but it's providing that holistic look for people.
Hmm.
And before they come to me, I'll always ask them, like, have they seen a broker? Because yes, you might want to buy property, but you might not have the right structure or
Mm.
know your borrowing capacity, all that stuff, which
Yeah.
I don't do, a broker does. So, and it's helping them on the path. So I build my power team and I have recommended professionals that I would say, go and, talk to XYZ
Yeah.
and if I will usually test everyone. So if I've had a good experience, I'm happy to refer.
Yes.
Um, if not, they fall off the wayside. But so I'd love to find that initial investment, then provide the property management for them.
Yeah.
And then if and when they ever want to sell,
Yeah.
I can sell it for them. So I'm a licensed agent in
Yeah.
Queensland and just not have to cut out that noise for investors in particular.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them will just go and find you a place, but we don't actually property manage. And then that property manager who they recommend may not be suitable for them. So,
Mm.
and that's how my business grew in the UK because they resonated with me.
Yeah.
And so
Relationship
it's
marketing. It's
they,
yeah.
and they
Yep.
and investors typically will hold for a long time till maybe their needs change or something. So
Yeah.
um, just a one-stop property shop is how I pretty much see it. Like it is like the buy, the rent, and the sell,
Yeah.
and educate and make sure their assets doing what it should be doing.
Yeah.
And that property management, while I was hesitant to do it here and do it over there, I think is so crucial in keeping that asset performing
Yeah.
and keeping good tenants. Because if they know you're coming every 6 months or whatever it is, then I don't. And it's relationship based with the tenants as well. If I have a bad feel, and in
Yeah.
the UK with my team there, I'm like, if it's a bad feel, the answer's no.
Yeah.
So I don't. I've got to deal with them otherwise
Yes. Yeah, you
as
almost have
well.
to deal with them, well, maybe not just as much, but if not as much as the owner, because you're
Yeah,
the conduit between the two. So you're dealing with one
exactly.
side, making sure that they're happy and do have what they need, and then the other side. Because that was the feeling I got when we were renting the just before we bought our place. The We had some really hot summers, and my daughter was a baby, and I clocked it at 38 degrees in her bedroom, and there was no aircon. So I was like, look,
Mm.
can we put some aircon in, and we'll go halves. Like
Mm.
you're going to add value to your property by having air conditioning, and you only have to pay half of it because we'll pay the other half. They
Yeah.
said no.
Oh,
Yeah. And
no.
so I had to then get a portable aircon, which was really loud, and could
Mhm.
only really get her bedroom down to about 25. And I was like, all right, well, it's
Mhm.
better than 38. But I
Mhm.
was just like, geez, I really felt like they were only looking out for the owner's interests, which they are working for the owner, and the owner's paying them. But at the same time, you're again going to lose. So that was then another one for me. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to stay here very long now. This is going to impact, and in a way, it was good for us because it lit a little fire under my butt. Because there were a couple of little things that happened. I was like, yeah, I just don't want to stay here anymore. So we just need to find our own house to buy.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, it was good, but from theirs, they lost really good tenants. So I was
Yeah.
like, so
And
while
this is
you're,
what I'm like. Yeah. If you
yeah,
look after your tenants want to typically, like obviously there's a few that go bad, but
yeah,
I've been, I keep saying I've been so lucky with the tenants I've had, but I equally think that's because I reference them and I go on gut feel and I try and
yeah,
build a relationship before we even get to the application stage and all of that. So referencing is good and will do so much.
yeah,
But then, and life happens. And like I tell them, if they talk to me, I can help them. I can,
yeah,
work with them to come up with whatever it needs. And they really, the ones I've got now, they're really appreciative because times are tough, cost of living's high, and it's finding the win-win for everybody.
yeah.
And then
You're a
ultimately the
unicorn in
owners
the
get looked after.
business, Janice. You're a unicorn.
No, thanks. I try my best. That's all I can do.
So how do people find out more about how to work with you? Like what would be the first step?
So my website, minihangroup.com.au, is all about me and my experience and what I've done, but there's also a button there to book a discovery call.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way. Or I think I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook or
Yeah. All right.
LinkedIn.
We'll
Yeah.
put links in the show notes as well, so it'll make it even easier. But because if someone happens to be driving while they're listening to this, they might not be able
Yes.
to write it down. So we'll pop
And
it in the show
Minahan's
notes.
really easy to spell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Spell my first name, spell my last name. But
Yes. Yes.
it's
No,
all
it's yeah. I've spent my life spelling both my names. So
yes, I hear
it's
you.
yeah, it's just the way
Lots
it
of
goes.
variations of the
Yeah.
actual name. Mm.
Yeah, even my grandmother, on my dad's side, she misspelled my name my whole life. So she spelt it with an F. But that's okay.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
it's all right.
Hard to change old habits, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's the unfamiliar. That's okay.
that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and just one last, so what's your goals, like you personally? What do you want to achieve for you, your family, is legacy or your kids? Like what's your goal when it comes to money?
So my goal when it comes to money is to work out how to keep it and
Hmm.
use it for the greater good.
Yeah.
So my big C type goal is I would love to control, like I say 1 billion, and that sounds like a massive number, but what would that be in Brisbane? Maybe 10 houses.
Yeah.
But to help women in particular, sort of in that 40 to 60 range,
Yeah.
have a rental at 30% of their income rather than what the market rate dictates, because that group of people, I think, are the most ostracized in this market as rents keep rising. As you said
Yes.
before, wages don't.
Yeah.
And that category is left out because if they're a single mom or divorced or widowed or whatever, and find themselves on their own or might have a couple of children,
Yeah.
it's pretty heartbreaking out there to secure a place. So that's my big goal. At the moment, I'm looking at like places like Ipswich where I could buy like 800 square meters,
Yeah.
put a granny flat on and cater for these multi-generational families, because that's where I see the greatest need at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and just help people build their wealth through property.
Yes.
properly and not lose money.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's wonderful. I love that. And I think that's one of the reasons we connected because there's impact
mm,
alongside of the work that we do. And yes, the women in particular. There's was it, I think women over 55 are the highest growing homeless population,
yeah,
which is
absolutely.
scary.
I want
Yeah.
to inspire my children because it's like I hated that question as a teenager. Oh, what are you going to do? You going to go to uni? And it's like, well, I thought I had to go to uni because that's what everyone kept telling me.
Yeah.
When actually, there's so many other opportunities out there.
Yeah.
You just got to back yourself and give it a go.
Yeah, and have the right knowledge. So having somebody like yourself who can share your experiences and your knowledge and show the way and actually show them how to calculate the numbers to make sure
Mm,
that it's a good deal, how to recognize it. It's not just a, oh, well, this person's telling me this because they've got a vested interest in selling this. So do I believe them or not? Even now, I get that. I get people coming to me with these opportunities, and I was like,
yeah.
yes, but there's a, you know, an agenda behind that. So
Yes.
I've got to see beyond that. So how are younger people and even people
Yeah.
in our age bracket who are like desperate to make something of
Work.
yeah
Yeah. Use their
of their
money.
money, and it's hard to know what's real and what's not.
Yes, so it's finding good people, isn't it? And even
Yeah,
like networking events, even if you don't have a business, I still think you still get something out of it because you meet different people that you wouldn't normally every day meet. So
that's right.
when I
Yeah,
came back 4 years ago, I don't, apart from our friends, I didn't know anyone. I felt like I was starting from scratch. Whereas in the UK, everyone knew me because of my accent.
yeah,
Whereas here, it's like, I'm no different to anybody else. So I
yes,
think I found it harder here.
yeah.
And real estate's such a cutthroat industry.
No,
Really felt that people sort of give you the side eye when they realize you're a real estate agent. But I like to think I'm not like the rest of them.
no, you're
So,
not. You're absolutely not. Like I wouldn't, when I think of you, I don't think real estate agent. I think like real estate, like more of that, yeah, holistic end to end. That if I wanted to know anything, I would just come to you.
that's what I hope because, yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to just help people, even if they're out there doing it themselves,
yeah,
just having the right knowledge and information and not be ripped off by sales agents
yeah,
who
yeah.
they're
That's
just,
it.
yeah, they're there for the seller and they're there for their own pocket.
Yes, yeah, that's it. It's yeah, unfortunately the financial side tends to take over the yeah than the human side. Well,
Absolutely. So,
you're going to start to change. Well, you're not starting, you are changing that. So if anybody wants to know anything about real estate and what's possible for them, please contact Janice.
Alpha,
We need more
you're
women
amazing.
building wealth. Wealth women, like wealthy women is just, we change lives. So, I
Mm.
mean, case in point now, like yourself, it's just the way it is. We change them with a different perspective, with an impact and wanting to actually help and grow. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's
okay.
so true.
Well, on that uplifting
Excellent.
note, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun as always.
Yes, it
And
has. And thank you everyone for listening. I hope you got something out of that too. And yeah, just let's sit with you for a moment and think about what you actually want to do next, because it might be giving Janice a call and having a discovery call to find out what is possible for you. So have a wonderful week and I'll catch you in the next episode.